Okay, we're live. Today, the value of no BS. And we've got the Mr. No Honest BS expert and advocate. Juan, how you doing?
Well, first thing is that there's no BS expert. So I'm glad we have our honest no BS t-shirts. This is awesome.
Yeah, so I'm rocking my my t-shirt today. So yeah, first of all, a bit of an intro. How I've met. I think we met maybe at Big Data London on the scene, but we've crossed paths many times, and we've just on the back of a Day-to-Day Texas that we were both at, where we've just been inspired by a lot of the stuff and talks from all the other people there, which is going to shape some of the conversations here today. But for anyone out there that may not know you, Juan, do you want to give yourself an intro and a bit of background?
Yeah, just quickly. I'm Juan Sequeda. My job, I'm the principal scientist and the head of the AI lab at Data.World. We're a data catalog company, and my background is a mix of academia and industry. I'm all about how do we bring data and knowledge together. Knowledge graphs has been something I've been dedicated my entire career on, which I generally believe is the right way of how to manage enterprise data and metadata at scale. And one of the things we started almost 4 years ago was our podcast called Catalog and Cocktails, the honest, no BS, non-salesy data podcast, together with my partner in crime, Tim Gasper. And we just like to have life's too short for bullshit and drama. So.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be on one of your shows.
Big Data London, which I love to get a podcast live. And actually, the way we met virtually always on LinkedIn, but I think I was on Joe and Matt's podcast, and then you were like at a bar watching it, and you went back to your room and you were able to join us. That was a cool way of us first interacting.
Yeah, I used to do the drop-ins to Matt and Joe's show quite regularly, and I think that's one of the reasons I got into this LinkedIn space more, was asking so many questions. I think on one of Joe's show that he got bored and to just come on the show instead, and the rest is history, so to speak. But I mean, obviously meeting you online and you know, your hashtag and your conversations and your posts, you know, there is that no BS theme as well. You call it as it is, you say it as it is, and you know, that resonates with people, and that builds that trust aspect. So yeah, kudos to your approach, and always enjoyed the interactions and debates that we've had on the back of them. I say we both just come from Day-to-Day Texas, and we did a little bit of pre-chat before, and yeah, we've created some other notes that we can leverage. But going through the bullets that we put out originally, and there's a good one. The first one is the impact of transparency in leadership, and obviously a BS approach to that. Yeah, we believe is the way forward. So what's your views on that one?
Well, look, I think connecting it back to Day-to-Day Texas. First of all, big shout out to the organizers, Lynn and Alex. Like, they did an amazing show, and so lucky to have Sol Rashidi kind of open up and give the keynote. And I just posted this on LinkedIn. Look, one of the moments when Sol gave her keynote was she gives a story about how she's like, oh, we put our teams together and we found this opportunity, how we're like, we can make money, right? We're leaving money at the table. And she goes, present this to the executive team, and CEO says, oh, this is brilliant. But then the presidents of each brand basically were completely rejected. And what she wanted to say, what she had presented. And you're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, we're all here to go make money. And like, why are you not happy about what I'm doing? And she got shunned. And it's like, you know what? That's politics.
Yep.
And I think the honest no BS, something I've learned in the hard way in my career, is I've always equated politics to something negative, because we hear politics and we hear like government and that boy. I'm like, but go back. Politics is all about, how do I convince a group of people that we have this idea that this is all good for everybody? Like, how do we move forward with this? And you got to convince, and everybody has their own agenda. And how do I start talking, debating, and community? So I think you have bad politics, definitely. There's very bad politics, but politics in general is not a bad thing. It's like, we need to learn how to do politics. And I think this is one of those things. It's like, The honest no BS here is that you need to understand everybody has an agenda. You shouldn't just jump over everybody because you think you have the best thing, because you don't understand the context around things. So you really need to communicate and understand that at the end of the day, it's not just, it's a team effort. And yet you may feel that you are being bullshitty, BSy, because like you need to go convince and this, and even though you may think that they're wrong, but like you do not have the full picture.
Yep.
So the no BS thing is like, you are not the savior for whatever because you came up with the approach that's going to save millions of dollars. Like, I think that's something we need to acknowledge.
And yeah, I think idea to reality. Everyone can have an idea of how you're going to save $1 million, but yeah, getting that into reality requires, as you say, navigating politics. And I think sales, politics is sales, really, isn't it? It is just another element of sales. Politics trying to get your governments, they're selling themselves or what their policies are. And the same with your sales, you're selling what your product is. But the best approach is be able to sell into an organization that they want to have something, they need to have something, as well as the something you're selling. The two go hand in hand. But it's an interesting one. Again, yeah, shout out to Sol, a great keynote there. And the example you gave there, it was all failed based on an organization structure issue. So the best ideas on paper are the best idea. In reality, when you don't have an organization structure that supports the ability to realize or deliver that solution, then it's never going to work. So this is where not always maybe the best solution is going to be the one that works for your organization. It may need to be, as you said, what works for one may not work for another. You may have to make compromises.
This is something we need to realize. The best product doesn't always win.
Nope.
And the most innovative company doesn't always win. It's a company who can, or in the solution that you can best communicate what it is, and right, and actually have to know the timing. I mean, I always remind her, like, Apple is not the most innovative company. Like, all the things that they have on this phone, like, they did not invent them. They were not the first people to put it out there. So that's something just to realize, acknowledge that the best isn't always a winner.
Yeah, and again, the team sport thing, I love that term as well. And you know, we say data ops is a team sport, data products is a team sport. We always, because we're data people, we always look at it from that data department, and you know why we're not valued enough, and you know why we're always blocked to do what we need to get done. But I think as soon as you start taking that to that next level up, where it is, you're doing it for the company. Everything you're doing is to support the business strategy, and your organization structure needs to be able to support your business strategy. I think another thing that was mentioned is the tech's the easy part, and we have already solved it all. You know, whether it's been refined, we're calling it a different name now. You know, most problems have been solved to some degree. The biggest problem we haven't solved is how we can actually deliver on these within organizations, with all of the other challenges of your CDO, who he reports to, you know, the decision of who has the budget for your platform and who has the budget to deliver against that platform. They're the biggest challenges I see at the moment.
I think so. A couple of things. One is everybody should understand what are the strategic goals, objectives of an organization, right? They should also be kind of from executive level. They should be shared with the entire company, right? This is the North Star, is what we should be focusing on. So everybody who's doing work, they could question, like, how do I know that this work that I'm doing is actually contributing to that North Star, that single objective, right, that we have as an organization? So this is one, leadership, executive leadership needs to be able to go share this, but also everybody should be able to, like, hey, question the work that I'm doing. Is this actually contributing to it? And in this discussion, the whole honest no BS thing for me is there's this great book called Fierce Conversations by I'll look up the name. Fierce Conversations. This is a book I think everybody should be reading. It's not just about business. Like, you should have fierce conversations in your life, in your personal life, with your fierce conversations with yourself, with your partner, with your family, with your leadership, your team, and I think what a lot of the issues that we run into is that like we don't have these fierce conversations. We don't go into the details of it, right? Something is bugging us, and we're like, oh, just let it go. And you need to and you need to figure out how to have these fierce conversations, right? I mean, that's the approach they have in the book, and there's just so many different steps. And actually, I love the book because they give you like, here's a formula, basically, like, okay, this situation is happening. Here's how you have this conversation. Do this and blah. And so, highly recommend this book to everybody. Fierce conversation. Life would be much better if we would just have fierce conversation.
And yeah, and again, another shout out to someone, Jesse Anderson, had a great one on there talking about soft skills, and you know, as you're moving up your career and you know where you want to go on that journey, and worried about, you know, will your role will exist going forward, and there's always going to be a role for someone that has the knowledge we've got. If you focus too much on a technical aspect of it, it may take you so far. And I think we were talking earlier, the thing that's going to give you that longevity is the soft skills, because with soft skills you can easily either complement your core technical skills, or with those soft skills you can probably get to learn other technical skills easier, quicker, based on your ability to communicate. So Jesse called it out there as well, and one thing, the word mentor I just wrote down here as well, is that, you know, what, and this no BS, you know, this is about mentoring the community, the next generation of data practitioners into succeeding, you know, doing what we haven't done as well in the data industry of, you know, we haven't always delivered on what we've promised. And I think with the lessons learned, our battle scars that we can share, you know, we're setting up the next generation, not to just rely on Chat GPT to tell him what to do, you know, coming from the horse's mouth, no BS.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes, like, this definition of hard skills and soft skills and stuff is like part of giving that a label is probably also the issue. I think we should, like, I mean, yeah, there are people, I mean, interacting with people, and we call it soft, and I just feel that soft is like, you know, what's another good word for something? Oh, it's bland. It's like, oh, I want to have the hard, the tough stuff. Like, that's more important. Like, that's interpretation that people may have. And like, yeah, that's easy things. Like, I'm like, no, actually, we're interacting with humans. Like, that's the hardest thing. And at the end of the day, if you truly want to make an impact, you realize you're not on your own, right? And it's a team sport, and it's not just folks on your team who all speak the same language. Like, you need to act with other teams and you don't speak the same languages. And like, that's a communication. And if you truly want, I mean, this is honestly what differentiates you from being a follower or a leader. And people will, and there's blah, 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 a lot of blah, blah, blah out there. People who act that they're scientists, but like, I mean, the true leaders are the ones who are able to, I like to say that they kind of go through the analogy that Gregor Hope has, the guy from Amazon, the architect elevator. You should be able to go down to the engine room and be all the way go up to the penthouse, and that's something that happens years and years or decades of experience to go do that. I mean, honestly, BS, I'm still far away from being at a penthouse and do that. Like, I've been able to tiptoe, like, get invited to a little bit of board meetings and stuff, and I'm like, holy crap, I am out of my league. There's so much I need to learn about this stuff, right? So, and I think you have to be humble too, to know what you know and know what you don't know, and then be eager to, like, I know that I don't know this. How do I get help? And goes back to like mentorship. It's not just about, oh, somebody sees me and they're going to mentor me. It's like, no, go out and seek mentorship too, and figure out what is it. Where do I want to go?
That's a really good point as well. Is the sources for mentors, and I'll be honest, people have talked to me later, you've been my mentor. I didn't know at the time. It was never a formal engagement. And I've referred to people that, you know, I never said to them, will you mentor me? But I say they have been mentors in my career. So yeah, and I don't, if you're an organization, you think, oh, they're going to solve all my problems for me. They're not. You're the best person to solve your problems is yourself, you know, with limitations maybe of what can be achieved, but you can go out and find people to chat to and get mentored in an unofficial way. I even like the other way around. I call it reverse mentorship. So people I think I'm mentoring, they're past, even my son, you know, you chat to him, the new perspective on things. Yeah, it keeps it fresh. But yeah, what would your Yeah, maybe we should do a boot camp on it. We were joking about this as well. He said, what you have to do your 7 or 8 week data engineering boot camp plus the boot camp on soft skills that me and Juan we're gonna put together with some other day-to-day Texas buddies. You know, we're gonna solve all the rest of the problems. And that is BS. We can't solve it all, but what we're trying to do today is maybe raise awareness of it.
So I think one of the things is that I think we want people to help people realize that this is a topic that they're not paying attention to. And then people will decide, well, I want to go pay attention to it or not. Like, this is not for everybody. And then again, well, very honest, if you just focus on a pure technical career, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, you want to go increase, go up the chain and stuff, like, to become all these, if you're not going up management round and you're just going individual contributor and you get all like your senior and then principal and distinguished and fellow and whatever this stuff, like, the reason you go up is because you're able to go mentor and talk to people, right, and help people out, right? You want to scale your knowledge out. So that means that you're already some communication, and yeah, you could be communicating to other technical people around that. But I think we were talking about this before, Chris. Is like, I have an impression that, like, if you look at the software world, like, you can go all the way up and become a distinguished fellow and mentoring people, but you stay in your whole very technical conversations with technical folks. And something that I'm asking myself is, how different is the data world for that? Like, can you be fully technical and go up and be mentored just on a technical aspect, or no, or like, you need to be able to kind of stretch out and have that communications more on the folks who are not technical, and that's kind of where the quote unquote soft skills, people skills come in. So I think the first step is to realize that there's more out there in kind of the soft skills and the people skills that you want to acknowledge that I want to learn that or not. And if you're not interested into it, I argue that you're probably just putting yourself in a smaller bucket. You're going to be a follower and not a leader. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think you need to set your right expectations around. Yeah,
I think that's another thing I have some beef with sometimes is, and I know it's not as always easy as that. It's like, you know, you have passion in what you do in your job, and you know, the world's not as nice like that. Is you know, not everyone loves what they do, and it is just an means to earn some money. But if you're in a fortunate position that you're in a career in an industry you love, and you're working, you know, because you love doing it, that's a better reason or rationale to follow that path where it goes. So that in that industry, the technical skills may take you so far, and to your point, you may want to go that management route, you know, but you'll lose those technical skills, and you know, you may miss that. You may want to go that architecture route where you're helping with some of the design aspect, or you may want to go that product management, data product manager route. If you go any of those routes, you're still going to need to increase your communication skills, whichever route you go for that, if you want to stay in that industry you're in. You know, again, shout out Jesse as well. He talked about, you know, DBAs. I was a DBA. You know, I loved being a DBA. I loved tuning SQL queries and getting the optimizer down and looking at
satisfying when you would get a query and like, look what I brought it down and how I did, and like.
Yeah, and you know, on a Friday, I do remember this time. I inherited a DBA team. I was their manager. And I asked for some quotes to go and for them to develop a role-based security aspect using a parent-child hierarchy that was stored somewhere else. Anyway, they went off and they gave me a quote of like a few weeks to do it or something. I was bored that night. Got a bottle of wine out. You know, I'd written it in, you know, using Connect by prior. You know, sticking it in there, putting a filter. It was shouldn't say one of my best Friday nights, you know. And then, you know, I sent them the code with the explain plan, and it wasn't good. I think I got it down to single digits in the explain plan at some point for an individual party. Yeah. So yeah, that was fun.
You're reminding me of just fun times we do, like here is this 15-page SQL query, and the database came out. Go, what does this do? And make it better.
Yeah.
Or weekend project.
Yeah. So I mean, the main thing I think that drove me that, I like to solve the problem. Did I want to go and like get that into production? You know, put the nice headers on it, put it into the repository? Hell no. I was bored after that point. I was moving on to something else. But having that, letting your career path take you around the route that you don't have to worry just on that technology you knew at one point. Believe me, my skills of knowing the syntax for partitioning and subpartitioning on Oracle and bitmap indexes and where the memory cache is going to be and what data files to put it on. I still remember it, but do I ever want to use it? No. So yeah, any sort of like a career path out there, take it where it needs to go, but soft skills, you're going to have to learn them at some point. To what level? It may not be everyone, but just having some playbook of how you deal with situations to achieve what you want to do is just get on with your coding, even if that is unblocking yourself. If you can use it for that, you'll be happier, more productive.
I think that the going back to the title of this, right? The value of no BS is really just the value of communicating, right? The value of moving things forward, and do it in a way that's actually repeatable, scalable, and you gain your credibility around it, right? I think that's I go back to, like, I have an academic background, right? So I didn't. Anyways, I did my undergrad and my PhD in computer science here at UT Austin, and that was a very interesting training for me because if you really come from like a hardcore academic background, it's all about there's no place for bullshit. Like, people will sniff it out immediately, and then you just lose all credibility. I mean, one of the most important learnings I had early on is to say, I don't know, is a perfectly valid answer.
Yep.
I think especially is like you're being asked about something. It's like, oh, you think I should know. So then you're like, blah, 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 and then you say something and you're like, that right there, like, that's BS. And there's like, people will sniff this out, will realize it. And those who don't, actually not that good then, right? They're not the leaders around that stuff. The leaders will see this. So I don't know is a perfectly valid answer, and doesn't mean like I don't know, I'm done. Like, I don't know, and I'm going to go figure it out, and I'll get back to you, and like make me accountable for these things. I will get in 1 week's time. I will tell you what happened, what I learned, all this stuff, right? So I think that's an important thing. Just remind yourself, I know it's a perfectly valid answer, and I think also goes back into just the debating, right? Yeah, I have a position, and this is the reason why I have this position. And I know where the holes are, because that's important. Like, you think that I'm going to go present this approach and you think it's perfect, like you have to call BS on yourself. Like, say, you know where the holes are, and instead of hiding them, because people will find them, just be very explicit about it, because by being very explicit about that stuff, somebody else says, oh, I was actually seeing more holes than that. You kind of covered a lot of these issues, and these holes that you're acknowledging, this is how we could solve them, or maybe not, right? And then we can find, and this is why kind of diversity is so important, from so many different perspectives. The debating people. I mean, I have an impression about we are lacking being very public about our positions and being able to go debate that. People get afraid. I mean, the world's always changing, right, around things, and I think we're in an era where they go, I want to be careful, I want to be canceled and stuff like that. I'm like, but again, this is the politics you have to go do. This is, if you have a strong conviction of your point of view, because you are inspired by the company, the organization that you work for, and you get the North Star, and you want to go follow it, then you're gonna like, they're inspiring you. You inspire others, and you put that out there, and you're open to have that debate and discussion. I think, like, that's no BS. At the end of the day, like, we're just driving all. Again, I remind myself, what are companies, what organizations? They're human endeavors. They're humans who get together because they all agree on a particular objective, and they want it in conjunction drive that forward. So I think that's one of the cool things to be done.
Yeah, there's a good shout here from Adam. I'm just going to put this on here. So it's a lot of text here, but I think not everyone is destined for the ballroom, nor they have to be. So again, I'll give an experience of mine. I want to be a CTO on my career path. When I became, I hated it. And again, Sol mentioned it as well. I was in HR, dealing with HR issues. I was dealing with seating plan issues. I was dealing with stuff that it didn't excite me. I didn't see, it wasn't for me. It didn't float my boat. So there's a lot in there, but
I'm reading through this. So I'll just read out that. So I love the focus on soft skills and acknowledging politics, two common perspectives in this conversation that are wrong and limiting. Conflating soft skills with a management track. People who aren't interested in management are dismissed. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and bless their hearts. Soft skills are incredibly valuable for every role in the organization. Fully agree with that. I'm not sure if it was like saying that there was that we were wrong. I agree with that.
Yep.
And conflating management with leadership. Not everyone is destined for the boardroom. They completely agree with this too. Like, you can be a leader and not having management. Like, honest, no BS. I'll be here fully transparent. I don't manage. Nobody reports to me. And I've just taken that decision. That's my career right now. I don't want to have direct reports. I do consider myself a leader. I am a part of our leadership team. And I do influence. I work with people. I'm part of teams. We build teams. But I have no management. And that's totally doable. I mean, that's my experience of being very open and sharing with everybody. That's an important distinction. Like, and at the end of the day, you're not alone, right? This goes back to the point of mentorship.
Yep.
There's so many people who have gone through this stuff. Go reach out to folks and they'll give you some highlights.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, just because you don't have that title, that reporting line, doesn't mean that you're not a leader in an organization. Which again, one of the things we talked about just before is, sometimes you need to give credit to, or don't take the credit for everything. No one wants the person that's going, I did this again. Yeah, I did this again. They may have done it all. They've probably been helped a little bit, but make sure you're taking everyone on the journey that did help you. Sometimes you may just have to take it on the chin, and like, even if you did come up with something, you give it to someone else's their idea, let them run with it.
Yeah. I see Val made a comment here.
He's got that one. Yep.
Comms
That's a good one.
Comms can take a form of sort of written, spoken, picture, whatever, but the info needs to be shared with the others to get things done. So true on this. And I always say one of the learnings I had, like going through doing my PhD, was not really the outcomes that came from my PhD, the actual work and deliverables and things. I say there's two things that I learned. One is to be comfortable in the sea of ambiguity, to be dumped into and okay, I'll figure it out, right? And second is to communicate in two ways. Written, to be able to go, again, write a paper, write things and be able to express that to other people, know who your audience is. And second, verbally, right? Go give a talk and be able to present that. Those are the key skills around that stuff. And that's applicable to, just makes your life better. From sharing your emotions to your partner, to your kids, to your parents, to your friends, like all these things are going to happen. Again, it goes back to like, please read this book, Fierce Conversations by Susan Scott is the author.
Just a ditto, Val's statement there as well is, and it's the right narrative, the right vehicle to the right people, to the right audience. Some people they only have don't have a long attention span. You have to keep me focused sometimes. So you give me a 5-6 page very well written document, I'm probably not going to give it its best. You summarize that stuff, or even get on a call with me 2-3 minutes and just we'll get there much quicker. So it's give me a nice picture, give me a nice architecture picture with some boxes.
One of my favorite quotes, I think is Pascal. Sorry, I wrote you a long letter. I didn't have time to write you a short letter. This is the very common thing, right? It's super easy to go write it down, but be able to go crystallize it. Just writing is such an important task.
Bullet points are called bullet points, and for a reason. You're not meant to have 25 of them on one page. But it's being able to. There's an art in that as well, and there's an art in it not being too corporate wording and things like that. Just saying, looking forward thinking.
Yeah. Well, this is going back to the value of BS or no BS, right? When you're being bullshitty. Because you're saying these words, like, what does this mean? Then replace it for something very specific. And if you are not able to replace it, understand and explain it, you don't even know what's going on, right? And that's fine. Then you still need to do work, because again, politics, you're trying to drive something, get people aligned to go for, to accomplish an objective. And if you're not communicating, you're not going to succeed at that. And then you're going to appear as the bullshitty person and not the leader.
and there's always a way of giving that back as well. And I've been blunt maybe in the past and paid the consequences for how I delivered the message. But I think the phrase is, there's no good way to tell someone their baby's ugly. So it's how how do you sit in a boardroom and call out in a way that isn't going to be career ending, something that you see as clearly bullshit, and it could be a risk you're taking. You could look back and think that was a day that I got credibility and now I got a seat at the table. It could be that's the day you get your is it your 401 here or your P45, where it is, where you get your letter saying your services are no longer needed here. So there's knowing when to call it out, how to call it out, and your risk appetite for calling it out as well.
Genuinely, again, I'm repeating this. Please, everybody should read this book, Fierce Conversations. Like, there's actually a whole part where like people talk about, we should have the sandwich, the Oreo approach. Say something good, bring in the kind of bad news. And it's like, then you're just bullshitting, right? You're like, people will remember the 2 outer layers and not the thing that you really wanted to go drive change.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, there's so many different things. Like, there's a problem. Like, I want to work together with you. And part of this problem happened because I realized that I realized too late that I should have contributed, and I'm in fault in this stuff too. Now let's work together about the solutions around here, because look, we can't go together. We cannot accomplish the goals of the company with this problem, and let's work together. And if you don't feel that you can work with us together, then probably should go part ways. That's a fierce conversation right there to have. And you're like, oh shoot, yeah, let's go. Or you realize, you know what, this is not for me and I'm out. That's totally fine too.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's again is it. Some people, you need the money, but you're just going to toe the line. But it's going to eat you up inside over time. So if you're in that position, just look for another job where you feel that you can call out BS when you hear it and feel valued in what you share.
Another topic for this is really the empathy. So it's like you're talking, but you also need to hear like what are going to people be hearing on the other side, and then part of that is like that's how you know how to kind of manage the level of the conversation, right? Because you want to be like, oh, this is it, let's rip the Band-Aid off, but you realize that people have different approaches, and I think. And then also, like, if you're going to go give a message and like try to read it from the other side, it's like, are they actually going to get this, right?
Yep.
If you have, it goes back. I think like the what's your elevator pitch? Like that's actually something really valuable. Like you want to be able to say what you accomplish, like get the message out in 30 seconds. What are the words that you're going to go use? And every single word needs to be deliberately chosen because there's a reason why for all that stuff. And then I always do the tactic I do is you want to just for summaries or whatever, like even describing like who are you, what do you do, and stuff like that. Just write it down.
Yep. 500
words. Okay. Now turn that into half, 250 words. Turn that into 100 words, 50 words, 25 words, 10 words, one sentence. And then you have your one sentence, and then if it's getting interesting, I can bring up the two sentences, the 25 words, and now that helps you kind of bring it down and bring it up.
Yeah, control the conversation, the narrative at the right level with the right messaging, and then you're having that playbook. And again, I maybe have to read this book you're mentioning because it sounds maybe useful in my life in general, basically. First, I want to go back to the bullet points because we've been freestyling now for the past half hour, but I think we covered some of these, but. I think the one which we haven't touched on too much, we can go back to some of the others, is building authentic brands. So linked on to slightly, we were talking about influence. Jesse mentioned it in his presentation, saying that the problem out there is some influencers is giving a single view and saying that if you do this, your life's going to be perfect. And I think the common sense is you can't just go on a boot camp for 8 weeks and then think you're going to be a data engineer at a FANG company. And I think that is a realization that hopefully most people know. So how do we, as I work for a company, you work for a company. I don't think either of us have mentioned up until now as mentioned now, our products or the vendor. So we are giving it our true no BS view. So how does how do we how do we trust? How do you build that trust relationship that then can support your brand?
Well, this is a great question because this is on everybody's mind right now. I mean, because we're all like on LinkedIn, right? And then everybody's the whole social media has chased everybody's like, how many likes and how many posts do I have, and let me go share the impressions I have with my posts, and then we kind of people want to go brag about this stuff, and I'm like, honestly, I think there's going to be there's I see it kind of two parts. One is like people are very very forward on like, oh, I want to be out there. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. Just people want to be out there, and I think there's folks who don't even think about it, right? So I think one is to distinguish that, and I think to distinguish that there's like folks who they are focusing on creating a brand. Well, there's folks who are like, no, I do my work, or I just do my work. I don't care about that. I think so. That's one thing, and then frankly, if you look people who are creating their brand, I honestly just be very understand how people are viewing that notion of authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
I think actually in the closing town hall on Saturday, somebody was saying, like, we're talking about like the job market and stuff. Is like, I think it was Shantana who was saying, be vulnerable about this. And I think that is where it will be genuine when somebody's kind of being vulnerable, just being honest about what they're doing, what they're trying to go do, what they're learning, right? And then you'll see like people are like, oh no, they're like, they're just trying to make a show. I mean, this is you. I mean, you got to go find this out. I mean, I said this. Joe had a whole quick post about it, like all this generating content now by GPT and all that stuff, and people now getting all these LinkedIn top voices and badges, and I'm like, I was very explicit. Like, look, honestly, if I see the top voice, actually catches my attention, the first thing I go do is see a person's background and see their experience, to see where if they went to school, what they did, or the work that does. That experience is going to tell me if they're really a top person or not. And with all due respect, I mean, my goal here is not to offend anybody, but just being my honest, no BS is like, if you're a top voice of something, you have a couple years of experience, I don't really am going to pay attention to a lot what you're saying, right? Yeah. And I think the whole social media stuff is really kind of, I mean, that's where people's focus is on. And I think also we got to connect with people outside of that. Yep. A lot of my conversations happens. I'm texting with people who I know and I respect and I learn. I just pick up a phone and call, and I'm so grateful I get to have these conversations with folks. And the people who I admire, respect, and I learn so much, they're like, they have no freaking time to even open up a LinkedIn or whatever, right? So they're not going to be sharing this stuff because they're actually busy getting shit done, right? So
that's it's a good point. And I use LinkedIn for marketing and stuff as well, but I also use it as a testing or brain farts, things that are bothering me, sounding things out, getting people to resonate with you. And the whole, I think I did bring back data modeling as a hashtag. I think that's one
we did that for a while too, right?
Because, So it was
the money was another.
Yeah, exactly. So when these rants turn into some messaging, which I've seen in the community that people are looking at this stuff. Data modeling is now, a big factor.
I mean, let's go back to that stuff, right? I mean, you and me and many others were like, bring back data modeling, talking about these things, right? Yep. And now this is great. Now there's so many other people talking about it, and like they have all the followers, and I was like, all right, great, go. But the thing is that's not what you should be chasing for. I mean, I think also, the whole conversation is like building authentic brands. An important thing here is like understand how to put your ego aside, right? Yep. I think the smart people in the room, the influential people in the room will actually take the time and kind of figure out the lineage and realize, oh, this is where this comes from. And it's like, here are the people who have been influencing or pushing out the work, and we see that foundational work to do, like the giants that we should be building on. Well, then everybody just builds on that. And I'm not saying that you don't want other people to go talk about it. No, because I like to say, you want to influence the people can be influential too, right? They're out there because you get the message out, right? That's how you scale the message. But I think if the authenticity is just you be you and don't focus on like these vanity metrics, and the people are really influential, people really get it, the core people in the room, they will realize, oh, that quiet person there, like, I want to go talk to that person. So I think it's always too, like, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You also don't want to be the loudest person in the room.
That's another good point. I always used like to use the term not the smartest person in the room, and I'm fortunate enough that I'm not nowadays in a room where there isn't someone smarter than me, and it's always learning aspect. Yeah, so I think back to that authentic brand, it is. But you're looking on people's credibility from that top badge. So I got one of those top badges, those lollipops, for governance. I'm not governance isn't my speciality. I did it as that's right at the beginning. I did it. Just
I saw that, and I'm like, Chris, I've chatted with you many times, and I barely think we ever chatted about governance. And you got that. So that's already for me like the big indicator. It's not like nothing with you. It's like, oh, I highly respect you because I know you, your background, but I would not go to you for a governance question.
and that was by putting one comment on one of those generated. I think maybe 2 comments maybe on one of the articles, and that was enough to go and get. And I think actually I did call out George Firkin. I said, look, if you actually want someone that knows about governance, speak to George. And it's not my bag, but I got one of these. So, but they may have opened doors, and some people may have think, okay, right, well, if that's going to get them to go and look at my brand or look at my my profile to go and validate it. It's opened up that doors. But I think the other thing is looking at people's motivation, and you can look at the history of their posts and of what's on there. And I may have the odd selfie on there, may have some of that modern source stacks and stupid stuff as well. But you will find some valuable stuff out there as well, which it is sharing experiences or new views or rants about what I'm seeing in the current world. And there's many authentic people out there that just, as I say, do very similar like yourself. So
so Jason, I saw a chat here. It's like, I want to hear how Jaun deals with other people's big egos. Well, I just say something like, so I work on knowledge graph. You can see my books here. Knowledge graph has been what I've been dedicating my career almost for 20 years now. Semantic web is where I come from, and I've been just banging this drum, right? Knowledge graphs, ontologies, and now like LLMs and LLMs and knowledge graphs, and then people have been sharing me, and even folks that I know, it's like, wow, look at all those people now talking about that stuff, and they're like, and they don't say anything about you. It's like, how do you feel? Like, great, the message that I want to get out is already out there, and do that. So I think it goes back to like how to deal with other people's egos is like not having I want to say I don't have an ego. I mean, well, everybody has an ego, right? Everyone has an ego, right? Egos do very good things in the world. Egos drive very bad things in the world, right? Yeah. Right. So I think egos are good things. Right? I mean, you have a good ego. And I think it's just, but putting your ego on the side and it's just fine. Let other people get credit. At the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I get to have super valuable conversations that will inspire me, that will grow my career, that will grow my work, that will help me grow emotionally, financially, and stuff like that. That's what I'm happy with. And I think.
So sorry, I accidentally don't know what I did.
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong. I put the wrong mode. So I was trying to type on my notes, and I pressed the
No, but I mean, I think it's just dealing with other egos and not understanding how to deal with your own ego, because we all have egos.
So I think another one, listening is a skill, which I've tuned myself. Maybe not everyone will agree with me in my business, but I'd like to think I now try and listen more. Thanks, JT. Wrong button. I try and listen more, and that's sometimes hard for some people. Just to, I want to. So double check yourself sometimes, and maybe someone else. If you listen, you may actually learn something as well. It's what I've learned that myself recently.
That's a great point of how much listening is such a skill. And if you look at, for example, when we do our podcast, we always do our takeaways. So Tim and I have just had the practice over now almost 4 years of just being when we're on the podcast talking to folks, like we're paying attention. And I mean, you saw this, like when we were doing it together, like we're live and we're having a beer, but we're like, I'm on my phone, or I'm either on my phone or my iPad. We're taking.
I have to say you're yeah. I learned a lot by sitting on your podcast. Sadly, the good thing is you've got two of you, so you do a great job of tag teaming. I'm going to reveal your secrets a little bit. So you've got the shared notes thing. So one of you's capturing while the other one's going. So it works very well. But I need a wingman.
Yeah, no, we share. So then I'm like in the notes, like, all right, Tim, you go, so I can take the notes, and we go back and forth like that. So we do this live, and it's just a good. I mean, we've had a lot of practice around that, but it's just really listen. And if I'm not able to take the notes, it means that I'm not paying attention, or actually I have not been able to capture, understand the essence of what people are saying. And I do this also when, like, you've seen, I host these honest, no BS dinners, and it's a 2-3 hour dinner with, meals and wine and everything. And I'm on my phone taking notes here around that stuff. And it means I have to be really paying attention.
Yep.
Again, listening is a big skill, and taking notes. So that's
well, there's a few good comments in here, and good demo on my technical skills there. Okay, but from Sarah, but there's one from Johnny here. Do you see decisions as a business or a technical discipline?
Everybody makes decisions. So I think okay. So honest, no BS. You know what an answer is for many of these types of questions? It's always either it's two of them. It's hybrid. It's bottom up and top down. It goes both ways, and it depends, right?
Yeah,
I'll say it's a hybrid.
Yeah, I'll try and answer it without using that. That's a good test. So I think there's different levels, and there's technical decision. What could be the best tool to use? It's going to be the most efficient or the most extendable. But there's the business decision, is what budget you've got and what's right for the requirements they've got. So understanding how you can compensate we talked about emotional attachment earlier about decisions, and if you're debating, if you can actually debate the reason and rationale why you want to do something at a business or technical level, you're removing any emotional attachment from maybe the decision, and that thought process of actually writing those down helps validate what's in your mind. And Ben Estancial was on Joe's show just before here, and he was talking about kind of off topic slightly, but it's talking about writing articles, and what Gen AI is taking away from that. And I can support this one as well, is that it's writing these things that generates the thought process that thinks that validates my hypotheses or not, or it's doing that over time rather than using generative AI. So so it depends, but I see it as two levels. I think
for me, it's like all these stuff it's connected, right? For me, the world is about connections. That's why graphs are my world. So think about it. So you have a decision that needs to be made. There's going to be technical implications. There's going to be business implications. There's going to be emotional implications. There's so many things, and there's going to be politics all around. I think, and going back to being able to kind of navigate in that elevator from the engine room all the way to the boardroom, right? I think you want to be able to understand at different levels, like what is the decision, what is needed, and be able to go write this down, make sure you understand it, go to the next level, figure out the implications of that. And at some point, you're starting to change from technical to business and different stuff. And you want to go make the connections. How can I use this part and these two different levels together to kind of push an agenda here, because the other side is not aligned, but they should be aligned. So they just don't see it from our perspective. So it gets connected to everything, right? So at the end of the day, it's a hybrid. But you really want to be able, but it goes back to understand it. So be able to write it down, be able to explain it to other folks, acknowledge if you didn't understand, if your things are missing. And it goes back to being the politics and putting emotions aside.
Yeah, and I'll come to Dawn's one, but it's that debating skill we've been talking about earlier. Being able to debate something, and maybe you can be a debater actually. If there's no one and sometimes it's good to have that person that's not pushing the agenda, someone that's replaying it back. So you could be in a room, you want to get into this meeting with some decisions made, all right, and it's just going around with two people but maybe not able to articulate or not able to see eye to eye, having that independence, sort of like not quite a shrink, but that impartial person that's able to listen, and again to this point, listening not to reply, understanding and then playing it back and then getting people to disagree with that. I mean, that's a skill.
This is another great tactic, is to somebody saying something. So it's like, instead of replying immediately, right, you got to process what they're saying. The way to process what they're saying is to rephrase their question or thought in your words, and then have them either saying you didn't understand or agreeing. And the tactic here is that now you've changed. I mean, the ethos of the core of the conversation may be the same, but now you've kind of put it onto your court where you can kind of control the game, because now you're using your words. And that's kind of the debating practices.
And I think we're giving away all our tips here anyway.
This is the value of no BS, right?
But my own team's going to know how it is now as well. So, but yeah, it is that, you know, that way of not just replying for the sake, being able to have an environment where you can say, I don't understand that. Can you explain that more to me, and not feel that, I can't because they're going to think I'm stupid.
But I would push more on that. It's not like I don't understand it. Explain it to me. It's like, I understand this part. Yeah. I did not understand this part for these reasons, because these things confuse me and then conflict. Very specific. So I understood X, but I didn't understand Y. So explain to me what am I missing here? And because I think this is the other thing, is like, to truly understand things, you need to go into some of the details. I mean, to really clarify, let's go into the details. Go into the data. And I do this all the time. It's like, typical. What does customer mean or whatever? Well, okay, let's just start counting. Let's look at the data. What are all these customers? Why wouldn't this one be a customer? You go into that stuff. Like, I'm trying to understand it. We just can't say, oh, it's complicated. No. We can be able to go get this stuff. That's why I call bullshit all the time when somebody says, oh, we cannot come with a definition. Yes, you can. You just don't want to.
Yeah. And there's a constructive feedback, and again, we go back to that emotional tax thing. Unless you can actually provide rationale and a good justification for it, then it's probably your gut feel why you're not doing it, and it's probably something else. It's not the right approach to make decisions, really.
And by the way, how I just expressed that is not how you would want to go express it. You're being lazy. You don't want to go do it. It's like, no, I mean,
do I say, not as I do? I think that was my parents, how they taught me. Well, again, so I will probably have to run off 5 minutes before the end of this one, because I've got to go jump to another client call. But we got a few. Yeah, I'm back to back, and it's been a busy back. But I mean, going back to maybe, and again, I'm going to try and do what you do very well in your one, a good summary of what we've called out today. So, top level soft skills, number one skill that people should be focusing on at the moment to complement your technical skills. What soft skills they are, there's different ones out there, but communication needs to be key to those ones. I think boardroom tactics, taking people on a journey. Another thing that we mentioned there is, asking the right questions to the right people with the right narrative. I think that's another key thing to get away from there. I think another one, the right answer isn't always the right answer. Is sometimes the best solution or what seems to be the right one may not fit for reasons that you don't know or haven't been communicated to you. And I think the last one is, we're all working for one business. It's not the data team versus the business. It's not the business versus the finance. Yeah, we all succeed if we all succeed. We all fail if we all fail.
So I'll repeat this now. So you said, yes, soft skills, the need for soft skills, and communication is key on that on so many different aspects. The boardroom tactics, right? Understanding how to take the right journey, understanding how you go to different layers. Third one is like the right answer isn't always the right answer. The best solution isn't always the best solution. And yeah, we're working for one business. We should all be focused on it. I think something that covers all four of those things is just understanding politics. And It's not a bad, and I think politics, it's all those four things. And politics is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just how we all get together as a community to kind of put our ideas together and push things, because we have an agenda, which we believe that our agenda is going to help accomplish the organization's goal.
Yeah, and don't use our British politics or American politics as happening at the moment as a
bad politics and put it away, right?
Yeah, well, we won't. Yeah, outside my pay grade or conversations for LinkedIn at least anyway.
Chris, you clearly were paying attention to the conversation.
yeah, definitely. And I didn't even make notes on that. That was well, I made lots of notes during it, but they were the ones I'm learning. See, I've upped my game, So maybe for the audience out there, where can they catch up you next? Where they're going to see you? Where's your next no BS dinner?
Yeah, so we're just starting to kick them off. So what we're going to do, a handful of them this year. So I'll post about them in LinkedIn. We just follow me on LinkedIn. I post once in a while. I mean, I do post multiple times a week. Sometimes I get like really busy and stuff, and then I don't post for a week or whatever. But anyways,
I can do 3 in one day sometimes and have a few days off. I don't always try and like time it right for the algorithm. It's just what's in my mind at the time.
Exactly. And then our podcast, Cataloging Cocktails,
highly recommend it. Anyone out there?
Every Wednesday live at 4 p.m. Central, and then it hits the podcast on Thursday. And then just reach out to me. LinkedIn, love to chat with people. My email is juan@data.world. So easy. Just feel free to reach out. And thank you so much for having me, Chris.
No problem. It's always a pleasure and always a fluid chat. Even sober for once. There you go.
I will be let's see, actually next Friday I'm in Amsterdam, in case anybody's around there. And the following week I'm at an event in Germany, but then let's see, I'll be at Gartner Data Analytics in Orlando. I'll also be in Gartner in London in May. Probably at Snowflake, and I will be at Snowflake. I'm sure there's many more events around there.
Brilliant. Well, I suppose the last one is I'm back next week. I don't know who I've got. I've got to look at the diaries of who's coming. But last week I picked up a lot of new great people that I'm going to put on the show. So we'll watch this space where we go on next week. But thank you. Oh, we've got skiers in data. Anyone listening from Europe, Switzerland, or even fancies traveling across there. 1st of March. Got Sol there. Got Joe there. Got Matt there. Got me there. Got some other people as well. So a great one out there. Thanks everyone that's watched in today. So a lot of the usual suspects: JT, Val, Adam, and anyone I missed. Apologies, and some new ones I hadn't heard from before. So Johnny, another comment on there as well. I'll probably look to reply on that later. But very, very valid. Yes, business should be involved more. I fully support that. And apologies for my technical skills. You see, I'm learning still beyond these things. And but thanks for everyone to listening. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Chris.